Greetings, everybody. My name is Dave DeWalt. I'm the founder and CEO of NightDragon. We're coming to you live from the NASDAQ Entrepreneurial Center here in San Francisco at the RSA Cybersecurity Conference, the largest cybersecurity conference in the world. We're super excited because we're doing a NASDAQ NightDragon CEO series. And today we have 11 of the hottest cybersecurity company CEOs. As a former CEO, I get to interview CEOs and have a little fun. Today, I have a special guest, one that I'm on the board of and an investor in, a company called Human. Tamer Hassan, thank you so much for coming on here, my friend.
So great
to see you. I won't ask you about the forecast this time, so we'll just keep this live stream. Tamer, just tell everybody about your background for a minute. You have an incredibly amazing background of where you've come from and what you've done leading up to being CEO of Human.
Sure, absolutely. I grew up in technology and code and computers. Ultimately, I went into the Air Force to do engineering and support that mission. While I was at the academy, 9/11 happened, and I took a detour into actually being an aviator, and I flew a few different airframes in the Air Force. Ultimately, combat search and rescue in Air Force Pavehawks was my mission that I hold near and dear. So I got to do that for 10 years, active duty and reserve. And then as I was in the reserve, I transitioned back into how do I contribute to solving some of the hard problems in technology, and that led me to cybersecurity use cases and ultimately to founding a company called White Ops and then Human Security.
Okay, so we got to ask you, you have the coolest name company, Human. Well, maybe next to NightDragon, I'm teasing, but Human's a super cool company. And I think one of the biggest problems that we're seeing in the world is what I call the rise of bots. So talk a little bit about the name of the company for a minute, and then what does Human do?
Absolutely. So Human Security, the name of the company originated around the core problem we started with. Is there a human on the other end of the screen or not? Fundamental to so many security and fraud use cases, fundamental to what we felt was the integrity of the internet to know who's real. And that's what we built our original technology around, solving that problem, which brought us into a whole variety of use cases. Today, as we've built out the Human Defense Platform, we stop digital attacks on consumer-facing technologies. And it starts with bots, but it's everything all the way to fraud, abuse, and compliance use cases across the customer base that we have. We deploy our technology in websites and applications and digital media across the internet, and that's where we do our work.
Talk a little bit about the size, because when people start talking about sensors and intelligence in the trillions, it gets to be an interesting thing. Just talk about the enormity of scale of the whole human defense network that you have.
Absolutely. As we've grown across these use cases, everything from media to e-commerce to financial services now, our footprint has grown to 20 trillion API calls into the platform every week. That's what we see. This is global activity inside of the websites and applications that we protect. We see over half of the devices around the globe on a regular frequency. And it gives us this baseline of real and right human as a start and a foundation for solving some of the important security and fraud problems that we're embedded for.
I really think this is important because this rise of bots, like I said, it's like a cancer on the internet, and determining a real human on there versus a bot is really important. Give an example or two of some like big notable takedowns of things that have happened. I know Human's been in the middle of some of the biggest in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. So one interesting fact that not a lot of people realize is that over 3/4 of security incidents have a bot used somewhere in the attack cycle. It is a tool for modern cybercrime. Sometimes it's for the vulnerability scanning. Sometimes it's for breaching the account with stolen creds. Often it's to manipulate transactions downstream in an application. It is truly a universal tool. And the problem that we've addressed has grown over the years from is it a human or not to what can you do with 1 million humans? And the answer to that question is broad and wide. We see everything from our number one use case being account takeovers, using stolen credentials to breach accounts, all the way to manipulating media and popularity on certain stories, websites, even bots listening to music on streaming media platforms. Because there's incredible value in making a song more popular. Or in e-commerce, we have a large e-commerce footprint. The sniping of goods in high demand is a major problem. Fair access to goods for consumers and protecting those brands and protecting that market is really important in the bot problem. All the way to scraping of sensitive data, it's used more broadly.
Right.
So it's truly a tool across the spectrum.
Was there a rumor Taylor Swift had a bot problem? My daughter mentioned something about that.
Yeah, I can only say so much, but certainly, you know, she generated the level of demand that made it worth it, and you know, that was that's a very important aspect of, do humans have fair access to goods, and are brands reaching the right consumers?
Talk a little bit about AI for a minute, because obviously we're here at the conference. There's one or two comments about ChatGPT and new bots, good bots, smart bots, right? We're in the world of bots coming, right? No doubt generative AI is moving this thing in a whole nother level. I think humans incredibly well positioned for that. Maybe talk about that, but then also talk a little bit about how humans using AI as well as a defense, both sides of that.
Yeah, absolutely. There's certainly a step level change in the game of bots and AI at this point. And bots will define the next 10 years of the internet, both for legitimate business and for malicious actors. That is the new playing field. The trend that we've seen over the last 10 years is bots becoming more and more human-like, perfectly impersonating human activity, and even that just made a huge leap with AI emerging on the scene. The thing that we have to remember about technology is democratic. Everybody has access to it. It does not discriminate. So malicious actors and good actors alike will have access to AI, and that will be the new playing field. And so we have to play a different game. First of all, we have to combat AI with AI to make sure that we're leveraging the capabilities to the max extent possible. And then beyond that, it becomes a strategy game, similar to any warfare problem. How do we change the economics? How do we make it cost more? How do we make it cost less? And that's all about collective defense. It's about public-private collaboration, which you do so much work in. The importance of that is really going to be what defines how we evolve in this problem.
So you've done an amazing job getting this company to 100 million of revenue at this point and beyond. So now the road to 500 million, or the road to $1 billion, right? As an investor, I like this question a lot, but how do you think about your strategy beyond 100 million now? You've got scale, you've got teams, you have some of the biggest, most important customers and partners as well. What do you see as ways to get to, you know, a much bigger number here?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'll say we're here to build a company of consequence, one that solves an important set of problems. And that's what will give us ultimately the addressable market to drive the level of growth that we need. We crossed that important milestone of 100 million last year in recurring revenue, over 500 enterprise customers across multiple segments. We completed a fundraise at the end of 2022 that you were a part of $100 million, and then 2 M&A events last year to add more products to the human defense platform. We'll continue to build out this human defense platform to solve all forms of digital attacks, fraud, abuse, and compliance for the consumer technologies that we protect end to end, ultimately to be IPO ready in 2025, should the markets be ready for us at that time. But the name of the game is, one, efficient and effective growth, and increasing the addressable market and consolidating the number of problems that we can solve well for the customers that we have.
Tamer, last question for you. I've always really admired you from honesty, humility, hard work, technical as well, passionate, and I mean that with all sincerity, I truly do. Talk about your culture with human a little bit for everybody to hear, because I think it's something to learn from, just how you look at the culture of the company and lead from the top.
Yeah, absolutely. In culture, such a broad term. When I think of building a company of consequence, it starts with solving those important problems, leading with great technology, and culture that can scale and is worth the precious time and energy of everybody it employs. That's so important to build this alignment of principles and values. And you know, so one of the things we do every time somebody joins at Human, they say why they joined, and 95+% of the time they say 2 things, almost always the same 2 things. One, we're here for the mission. This ability to put our time to protecting the integrity of the internet by changing the economics of cybercrime is worth our precious time. And so protecting that as we scale. And 2, we're here because of the other people. There's so many great people and so much great talent, and allowing them to do what they do best is really important. And lastly, allowing the culture to grow and scale. What it was at 25 million is much different than it is today, and it'll change, but it'll need to evolve in line with the mission and the values of the company.
Well, it's been fun to watch you grow this company. What a great leader you are. And I can't tell you how proud I am to be an investor and be on the board and be a part of this. You are an amazing CEO, but also an incredible opportunity. I just see a massive total addressable market for human to go after. One of the coolest companies to watch, Human Security. Tamer Hassan, CEO and founder of Human Security. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Always great.
Appreciate to see you.
Great, thank you.